Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today, if you guys, there's another Marvel Cinematic Universe MCU movie review. Today we're tackling Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now this is a film that, when did it come out? 2021, I think? Yeah, 2021. And this was kind of, I guess, during COVID, so to speak. But this film really, it's really freaking good. It's stupid good. And we're going to get into it. But yeah, so this was kind of... after Black Widow, so to speak, and after a few of the shows, I was a little bit nervous going into this. I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember liking it. I don't remember all of it, but is it going to hold up? And it freaking blew my pants off, man, metaphorically, at least I think. But yeah, it was a really great time. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Again, it really does help out. It's free. It takes a second, and like I said, it helps myself out. I wanted to get this review out sooner, but I had school starting. We lost power again for like 3 freaking hours, so that was cool. But nevertheless, I am back. And yeah, I'm going to be doing my Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer reaction. I know it isn't out yet. Again, all that stuff that I just said, but it is on the way. But yeah, Shang-Chi, man, is kind of funny because I remember after seeing the Barbie movie, which I hated, such a bad film. But Barbie is, there are characters from this that are like the guy who plays Shang-Chi, Simu Liu. He's in the Barbie movie, so it's just kind of funny. I was like, oh yeah, I like him as like this rather than with pink shorts, but it was just kind of funny. Also, the guy Zuko from the live-action Avatar show on Netflix is in this. He's like Katie's little brother. I completely forgot about that. That was kind of funny. But this is basically Marvel at the top of their game, right? They got great CGI for the most part. Really good plot. It kind of brings in, the Mandarin and the guy playing the Mandarin, Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3. They got new creatures and new animals, like the weird butt pig-looking thing. Obviously, Shang-Chi is a new MCU hero, so that's cool. He does a pretty good job. We get Katie, played by Awkwafina. And we've got Michelle Yeoh in there, Tony Luang, I don't know. Yeah, they're all doing a really great job. So this is basically the origin story for Shang-Chi, right? And we kind of find throughout the movie how he gets his powers, and how his mom kind of had the powers, and how his mom died, and how his dad kind of went freaking crazy. Of course, he is the Mandarin. He's been called a lot of things, but he's basically the Mandarin. I think his name is like Wenwu or something like that. I don't even know if it's on the. I don't even think it's here. But yeah, I'm reviewing this like a week after, but again, like I said, the plot is good. Again, it's Shang-Chi learning how to get basically kind of re-antiquated with his father and his family. He meets his sister in like some crazy fighting ring looking thing. We get Abomination from the Incredible Hulk movie. That was cool. We get a surprise Wong cameo, which Wong seems to be cameoing in like everything now. And then we get, of course, a Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel cameo in the end credit scene too, which is cool. So this does obviously connect to the wider MCU universe, which I really like. But you have, like I said, really great CGI, really great story. It's not the most groundbreaking thing ever, but they kind of film the action scenes. When the mom meets the dad, it's easier than saying Wenwu and Chubu or whatever their names are. I don't want to muck them up. When the mom meets the dad of Shang-Chi, right, and they kind of have this tussle in the beginning, it's filmed like a dance. And they're trying to kill each other at first. It's more playful, I guess. But there's certain shots where they're looking at each other. At first glance, it is a bit cringy because it's this killing guy and he's fighting some chick in like a weird jungle forest thing, and there's a shot of him looking at her and her looking at him, and you can tell they like each other, but it's a little bit awkward, just for me at least. And obviously it becomes less awkward when you watch the movie and you see what's going on. But I think it's really interesting that they decided to kind of go with that angle, and it's not just fighting for the sake of fighting, right? They have a story to tell within the action. And obviously, touching on the action, that is easily the strongest part of this film. One of the best Marvel movies, if not the best Marvel movie of all time, at least in the MCU, in terms of the choreography. It's freaking insane. Obviously, no duh, it's an Asian film, right? Asian cast or Asian choreographer, I'm assuming, so it's going to be better than some Western guy. But, it's kind of like The Matrix in a way, in a sense that it's very kinetic and there's a lot of badass action scenes, really great shots. The whole scene with him on the scaffolding and all that before he fights the Death Dealer. You get Katie driving the bus, that whole set piece. Of course, the end when they get to that one area and he's kind of using the bow staff or whatever, fighting his dad, and then all the demons kind of come out. There's this big World War III style fight. The action is insane, and it's really, really well done. It's not just choreographed well, it's also shot well, right? There's some really great one-ers in there, one-shots. Lots of really good stuff in there as well, where you get, kind of these crazy action scenes, and it doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel like, oh man, they really went overboard. It doesn't. In terms of like Star Wars, I guess it's kind of punchy like the prequels, I guess, in terms of like the kinetic and chaotic energy of it. But most of the time, unlike the prequels, where it just kind of feels like a weird dance. Specifically the specifically the Mustafar fight. Just that fight felt a little bit too over choreographed. This feels the perfect amount, I think. But again, it's shot really well. The editing is great. There's a lot of with movies like this, they're going to have some humor. Of course, the humor is really great as well, and they kind of incorporate the humor into the fighting, which is really cool too. So I genuinely overall really enjoyed the fighting. It's incredible, but this movie isn't just action and story. They got really good character moments. Awkwafina, who I think she treads the line of being extremely annoying and funny, and I think in this film she is very funny. I think she's hardly annoying. I think they kind of toned down her craziness, and they kind of said, hey, don't be so nuts. And it's like most movies, it sounds like, or when she's either in an animated film or a live action film, it's like she snorted a bunch of crack. But in this, before they said, shoot, action, she didn't do any of the huffy puffy, She was just kind of acting normal. And it looks fine, I think she does a good performance. Obviously, like I said, the MCU does have its jokey, humorous moments, but I think she makes it work. Some really funny editing in there as well. I like the scene where they're on the plane, and the stewardess is like, hey, we got soup, and they're, Shang-Chi's in the middle of telling the story, and, boom, interrupted by the stewardess lady on the plane, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll take the burger, and they're like, oh, shoot, we're out of that. We got the vegetarian. And Katie's like, all right, I'll do the vegetarian. And then Shang-Chi's like, I'll do that too. And she's like, what would you want? He's like, yeah, I'll have the vegetarian. Stuff like that. So I effed it up. But there's some really good jokes in there that made me laugh, and I thought it was pretty good. Sometimes the MCU has a tendency of being a little bit too jokey at the wrong time. I think in this instance, in this film, they nailed the humor. It all pretty much worked. But on top of that, like I said, on top of the humor, on top of the action, we got to talk about CGI, right? Black Widow came out, I think, a year before, or maybe the same year, I'm not too sure. But Black Widow had some spouts, you can see it in my review, but Black Widow had some instances of some pretty shite CGI, right? Not horrible, I do think the internet kind of shits on it a little bit too much, just for giggles and all that, but there's a few moments that are a little bit wonky. I get it, when you're making a movie during COVID and there's restrictions and I get it, but that's still not an excuse to make your movie look like trash, because at the end of the day, I think I said this in the review, movies are pretty much, like, when you're done, it's locked, it's not a video game, right? You can't patch a movie. Unless you're Cats, then I guess you can patch a movie. But in this instance, when a movie's done and done being filmed and edited and all that, it's pretty much golden, it's done. And I think in this instance, for some reason, Shang-Chi got more of the love in terms of the CGI. Obviously, when you have a giant-ass dragon, and bat creatures and these weird, like, lion things and the weird butt pig, it's not all going to look, flawless, right? Because those kind of things don't exist in real life. Obviously, maybe you can't, but to me, I have the eye where I can tell if an AI image, for example, is not a real human. It might look just like a freaking real person, but it's not, and I can tell. I'm pretty sure you can too. I mean, we've been trained on this since the beginning of humanity to know what a human looks like. The same thing with, CGI, right? Obviously, these butt pigs and these lions, and I almost said butt plugs, these different animals, how they kind of, don't look, normal because they're not real, but I think they do a good job. The fur interaction's good. There's some really good shots where Katie's like interacting with one and she's touching it. It looks real. So for some reason, like I said, this one got the bigger CGI budget or more time or something. It looks really great. Obviously, like I said, it's not photo real, like, say, for example, Pirates at World's End or The Rise of Skywalker, or I guess like Avengers Endgame, but it looks fine enough. I didn't really have that many issues with CGI, but I do like how they kind of touched upon the Mandarin, right? I mean, Iron Man 3 did it, but they kind of mucked it up, where they're like, oh yeah, it's this Muslim, maybe, guy, maybe he's Asian, I don't know, he's just, and then he turns out to be a British drunk guy, I remember I saw that movie in theater. That was the first Marvel movie I ever saw in theaters, right when I was allowed to watch them, right? I didn't have the glasses, so it was basically a bunch of pixels on screen. But I liked the pixels, all right? I was like, yeah, it's a good movie. Iron Man 3 is pretty good. Again, you can go check out my review on that. But, Mandarin is in it, of course. Mandarin is in it. And it's fine. I didn't really hate that review on that movie. I thought it was okay. Again, as a Marvel fan who was just starting to get into the comics at that time when Iron Man 3 dropped, I wasn't shitting my panties over it like everyone else was online. But at the same time, having them actually, do the Mandarin justice, and the fact that they show that he is this killing person, right? He's a bad guy, but he also still does love his family, and I think the whole illusion of him being tricked by his dead wife trying to call him back, and he really kind of starts this whole crusade to find her. Obviously, that turns out to be a big no-no. So these bats come out of the earth or whatever, the rock. But I think it was, it's a good plot. It definitely sets up the wider MCU world with the Mandarin. How we actually get to see the real Ten Rings and the real, organization and how they operate. Again, we get to see Shang-Chi and his 10 rings and all that. And we kind of gets them at the end. Katie's good. I like his sister. I can't remember her name, but I like the character. I think she's a really good fighter. Again, the action is through the roof epic. Again, if you've seen any of my tributes or edits, I just posted that big Marvel one. I'll probably have it in the description. It's like 15 minutes long. Go check it out if you haven't. I spent like a freaking week on all 4 of those videos, but I got a lot of Shang-Chi in there because not only just the action, but it's just a well-shot film, right? Like this. People that say the MCU died after Endgame, or it's been horrible, it's fucking trash, or, oh my god, you need to die if you like Endgame, oh my god, the MCU is just bad now, it's woke, the MCU, it's like, not everything, and we'll get to this stuff in the coming up here, but not everything in the MCU since Endgame has been utter trash, okay? Like, people saying that are not fans of Marvel. They're joining, it's like Star Wars, right? They're joining the hate train. And, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a really good epic example of that, because it's a freaking great movie. Like, it's up there. It's probably in my top 5 or top 10 MCU Marvel movies of all time. It's that good. Everything is at the top of their game. The humor works. The action is insane. The plot is really good. It's captivating. The love story is good. The way that they film everything is really great. The sound design is good. I think it has a really good pacing and editing and all that. Really, everything is pretty much on, firing on all cylinders, so to speak. And I think it's a really good film. Obviously, the next one is Eternals. I kind of had, I think I might have told you guys, but I ordered the Hawkeye Blu-ray. That actually showed up now. It came like a month early, which is actually good. So I'm actually, for myself, I'm currently working on the Scream franchise again. At the time of recording this, I'm on 3 out of 6. So once I finish, I try my hardest with school to watch 1 Scream movie a night. After Scream 6, I'll go obviously back to Eternals and Hawkeye. So the MCU rewatch will get like a baby pause, and then it's coming right back once I finish that. But that's beside the point. But yeah, the Hawkeye Blu-ray did show up. I got a few more things coming in the mail too, which maybe I'll unbox, who knows. But, I really want to kind of own the whole MCU on Blu-ray. And I had to buy Shang-Chi. It's the I'm not going to bend down and get it, but it's the 4K Steelbook or whatever, not Steelbook, 4K edition or whatnot. But, yeah, I think this is a great film. And like I said, the MCU has not gotten horrible and trash, right? Maybe She-Hulk wasn't good, okay? Maybe Ms. Marvel wasn't good. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't seen Echo, the show. But I don't know, I have no clue. But I'm gonna be rewatching it too. So when I rewatch She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel, pray to God that I survive. But maybe I'll like it better. Who knows? But just so far, the MCU since Endgame with WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, What If, and this have been, for the most part, pretty friggin' great. And I think Shang-Chi is an example of when you give CGI guys the time to do their job, when you don't rush a movie for a budget, you can make a really good product. So, right, Marvel has not gotten bad, right? They haven't lost the magic, right? It's just not everything's going to be 100% perfect. And again, we'll get into the CGI things as we move forward with other stuff. Eternals, for example. I like Eternals, from my memory. I've only seen it 1 time in theaters, but when I rewatch it in a few days here, maybe I'll hate it, maybe I'll love it more, I'm not sure. So, it is interesting to kind of revisit these MCU movies, but revisiting Shang-Chi, man, was a friggin' treat. I loved every second of it. I was a little bit weirded out when I first saw it that it like kind of a grounded movie, and then at the end it's just like bats and dragons and lion things and butt pigs. I said it right. And all these other weird things. So maybe you can count that as a baby negative, how it does feel a little bit disconnected and disjointed, but that's the whole freaking point of the movie. Like that's why Mandarin, Wenwu, whatever, that's why he wants to go here to save his wife, right? They specifically tell him, if you go to this section and you do this specific thing, it's gonna suck. You're gonna hate it. It's not gonna be too good. And he does it, and it wasn't too good. But again, I love the action, and the end is really great too with all the crazy fighting and all that. I do also enjoy how the bad guys have to work together with the good guys because they're like, hey, our weapons don't freaking work, right? Again, Shang-Chi just kind of does this. He does this little, not like that, but he does this little weird flex, you know what I mean? You go, Gah! Like that. And the whole effing dragon just blows up. I like that. They showed some gore. That was cool. I like the, like I said, the bus fight is such a good set piece. I mean, it's funny. It's got, you know, really great choreography, really great cinematography, right? Everything's on point with that. It doesn't look fake. You know, maybe one shot where he kind of does the slow motion, he lands and he looks back. You could tell it was a background or whatever. You know, it's not that big of a deal. But, you know, I do think that they pretty much nailed that fight scene. And from then on, I was like, oh yeah, we're effing here. Like, this is sick. You know, and then every action scene kept getting better. The plot kept getting more interesting. I like seeing Trevor Slattery back. I thought that was kind of cool. You know, I really think that they kind of paid homage to Iron Man 3 and kind of fixed, so to speak, what everyone was so freaking mad about with that film. I was never mad about it. I thought they took some good liberties, but seeing the Mandarin in, you know, actual full glory, and it's not some Fu Manchu looking motherfudger, you know what I mean? I'm glad they kind of did that justice, and it wasn't really weird or awkward. You know, it fit in with the story great. The backstory for the mom is really good, and again, how Shang-Chi gets his powers and eventually gets the 10 rings, and how he and Katie are pretty much dating at the end. I thought that was kind of cool, and how he's basically an Avenger. I mean, Avengers Kang Dynasty before Jonathan Majors. I read on one side that he beat up his girlfriend in the middle of the street, and then I read on another site that he was defending himself because his girlfriend was attacking him. I really don't effing know. I really don't care. One of those things is right, but he's basically gone as Kang, which kind of sucks, right? Because Loki Season 1 hinted it up. He was going to be the next Thanos. And Avengers Kang Dynasty, the next Avengers film that is now Doomsday, that was going to be centered around Shang-Chi. He was like the next Iron Man, so to speak, right? Like the main player in that film. So obviously he's still going to be in these movies. They're making Shang-Chi in the Wreckage of Time. Apparently that's still happening, the same director, so that's cool. And obviously Shang-Chi, maybe Katie, but I know Shang-Chi will be in, you know, other Avenger films. But yeah, Kang Dynasty was going to be about him. He was going to be the main guy. So that kind of sucks that they kind of went, you know, different ways there. But overall, man, looking back at Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, I really love it. The title for this video is going to be really freaking long. I apologize, I didn't name the movie, but yeah, I really thought it was a good time. And upon rewatch, it's, like I said, it is definitely in my top at least 10, probably even top 5 MCU movies. It's that good. If you haven't seen it, obviously, you know, what are you doing here? Watch it. It's on Disney Plus. It's on Blu-ray for pretty cheap now, I'm assuming. Please watch it. And again, if you have seen it, tell me down below in the comments what you think about the Shang-Chi movie. Or sorry, Shang-Chi, or I can't say whatever. I'm American, okay? I can't do anything other than speak American. But I'm very much excited to look forward with the other MCU. Again, give me a few days here for Scream and all that. But after this, we're going to be doing Eternals, and then the Hawkeye show, and then we're going to be pressing on with even more fun MCU stuff. So, I'm very glad I'm coming back to the MCU. Obviously, I've been doing it since summer break. Rewatching all these movies have been flipping awesome, and I'm really glad I'm rewatching these. And yeah, like I said, once I do finish my main MCU review, I'm going to be doing the quotation MCU review for like other stuff that is technically now canon to the MCU through the multiverse. So it's going to be a really crazy thing. I got another video coming out soon about the multiverse, just everything that is now canon to MCU. It's going to be a really cool video, so make sure to check that out and look out for that. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. In terms of negatives, maybe the CGI isn't perfect. Maybe it's a little bit of a disconnect between like the semi-grounded aspect and then like there's crazy mythology happening in the end. But other than that, man, I really enjoyed it. And maybe it's a bit of a cringe in the beginning where they kind of, you know, the mom and the dad are looking at each other. I mean, that was kind of weird at first. It's like me, you know, me attacking a female. You know, if I'm an assassin and I'm going to kill a girl, I'm not going to be like, maybe she's hot. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what. I gotta rethink that. I don't know, I'll think about it. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's just kind of awkward at first. But, you know, once you obviously get into it and learn the backstory and learn the film, you know, it does make more sense. But at first it was just kind of like, oh, what are we doing here? It's kind of weird. But, you know, thankfully the movie kind of answered that and made more sense to it. But yeah, it basically scraping the bottom of a barrel here for negatives. I thought it was really great. So close to perfection against the stuff I mentioned could be seen as negatives for myself, just a little baby bit. So I'm going to give Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings an A. Again, though, this is a bright spot in the MCU where apparently everyone says the MCU is now dead. I get, like, the MCU dies, and then it's effing reborn with Deadpool and Wolverine. And then it's going to die again. And then it's going to be perfectly fine for Avengers 5. And then it's going to die again. And then it'll be great for Wreckage of Time or whatever the hell's going on. You know what I mean? People that say the MCU died, I don't understand it. Yes, we've had a few misses here or there, and we'll get to them. But, you know, so far, it's been pretty steady since Iron Man 1, I think, right? We haven't really had a bad film yet. So I'm excited to see if there are going to be more bad films. Again, we got lots of stuff coming up. Eternals will be next, however. So again, make sure to tell me down below in the comments what you thought about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Really great movie. I loved rewatching it, and I can't wait to see a sequel or just see him in general and these other characters like Katie and whatnot in future MCU films. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.